Yeah. If you're choosing a little bit of discomfort every day, that is by your choice. If that's by walking instead of taking the subway, or if that's by eating a little bit less candy or whatever, or if it's anything else, like reading instead of watching Netflix every now and then. All of these things stack up to a better future.
Some people seem to be able to do anything they want. What makes those people different?
Willpower is what makes those people different. And willpower is a muscle that you can train and build up. So how do you build that muscle? And how does it tie into choosing discomfort? That's what today's episode is about. And I'm here with my good friend Emil, who is a master of willpower. How are you doing today?
I'm not so sure about that, but I do like the word master. I very much resonate with it. I pronounce myself a master.
Yep.
Okay. I am happy today.
You're happy today?
I fasted yesterday. Today I've eaten. I'm like a happy wolf that has found something to eat. And I'm here with my good friend Erik, the founder of Great.com, and a brilliant business mind that I am very happy to have so close to me that I can feel his knees if you're watching this on YouTube and learn from in real life. And together we are doing the Becoming Great.com podcast, a podcast for you who wants to make the world, or just your own life for that matter, better through entrepreneurship and personal development.
Dum, 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 dum. What do we mean when we say that willpower is a muscle?
The way I interpret that is that whenever you're going to do something difficult, something that creates this feeling of resistance, whether that is going up on a stage to do a public speech, whether it is going to that girl you kind of like and tell her that you like her, even though you're putting so much on stake, or if it's fasting for several days or do a really intense workout, it's all the same mental muscle, willpower.
Okay, so regardless what it is that you're trying to do, it's basically one activity. Going up to that girl is the same activity as staying away from the fridge when you're fasting.
Yes. My mind chooses to do uncomfortable things even though my body is trying to stop.
So why would you choose to do uncomfortable things?
One really cool thing about that, it's the same muscle and all those activities are connected. That means that if I practice that muscle in one area, I get a huge spillover effect to other parts of my life. That is one of the reasons I've been doing ice baths here in the lake the entire winter pretty much. It's because when it's -4 degrees and like snowy and dark, and I'm in my apartment and have a thought that, let's go take an ice bath. And my body's like, no, we don't want to go and take an ice bath. But if I overrule those thoughts and I go and do it anyway, then I practice that muscle very intensely.
But why would you want to practice it? Why is it good to choose discomfort?
Because if I have the ability to go through some discomfort, I really think that I can avoid even more discomfort later. So do you have a place in your life where you could imagine that to be true?
So the first thing for me that comes to mind with choosing discomfort today is when it comes to health. And like if I choose to work out, even though I don't want to, or it's painful, then I'll be in better shape in the future and I'll have a better chance of staying young and healthy and all of these things. And like I read that quote somewhere, either you choose your suffering today or you'll deal with the suffering that someone else chooses for you in your future.
Yeah.
Pretty much like either you go to the gym today or God or whoever will tell your body to fail 10, 20, 30 years from now because you didn't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how well choosing suffering is the best word for it, or choosing discomfort, but I like the mindset of thinking that either I choose what I'm going to suffer through today, and I'm the master of that decision.
Yeah.
Rather than ending up, well, in bad shape or physically bad, or in the going up to that girl analogy, either I put myself through that fear today, or I'll end up alone in the future because I never did it.
And then that is a kind of suffering that is happening to you. It's not something you're choosing or have control over. At least I experience discomfort more as suffering if it's something that is involuntarily.
Yeah, you kind of captured, and you have to do it. If you're choosing to do it, at least you can do it when you feel that you're in a good space to deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you...
That's a good point. You can choose when to take your suffering.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you think of this as from a health perspective, and you're young and you're working out, you can choose when during the week you're going to work out. But if you're getting older and your body starts to fail you, it's not going to fail you when it's convenient. It's going to fail whenever and wherever and always.
Yeah. I have a grandparent, and he or she is pretty much in a prison of her own body after choosing to not choose discomfort for their entire life. And at this point, they are in constant pain, a prison. That person experienced nothing other than pain on a daily basis.
You think that would have changed if they would have chosen discomfort?
It would have lessened, for sure. Yeah. I think another area where this is very obvious is you have had an approach, I know, in relationships for the last 2-3 years, where you have chosen uncomfortable honesty, which is very discomfortable in the moment. Could you explain your reasoning behind that?
Yeah, so one thing, so me and Johanna, my fiance, we've been together 10 years. And like 2 years ago, I decided that I want her to know all of me in every single aspect of it, even the less flattering ones. Like, I'm attracted to other women. I want to do other things outside of our relationship, all kinds of things. And I landed on, I want to feel that I've been 100% honest with her about everything. Even things that she doesn't want to know, or even things that might be uncomfortable to talk about. And it's kind of, one of the deeper meanings of that is, I don't think that anyone can ever really love someone unless they know everything about him. So if I'm trying to hold up some kind of facade of who I am or how I'm feeling in different situations, because I want to, quote unquote, protect her feelings, which seems to be the common excuse, she can never know me because I haven't showed her me.
And you are suffering now involuntarily a little bit all the time because you cannot be who you truly are.
Yeah, that's a good point. So if I'm not showing her me all the time, I need to suffer a little bit by changing who I am or adapting my behavior to something that doesn't feel true to me.
Yeah. And you want to be with Johanna, you're going to get married. Yeah. So now you're choosing some discomfort, like ripping off a Band-Aid, at one point telling her those things, but then you spare yourself from a whole marriage where you will feel this constant sense of resentment and suffering.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, basically I choose some painful conversations, some things that are really hard to do in the moment. But let's say if we can calculate this in pain points, quote unquote, let's invent the concept here. And maybe there is that day when I'm having one of those conversations, that's 100 pain points. It's really hard to do that. But if I don't deal with that, I probably get 1 pain point per day for the rest of my life, or at least 1 pain point per week for the rest of my life, because I need to change something about me. I need to hide something. I cannot be fully connected with her. So I choose to go through a lot of struggle at one time to be able to save a little bit of struggle more or less every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And that mindset so much ties into what we talked about in the beginning. To take some pain points going up to that girl you like and maybe make a fool out of yourself, to learn the skill of talking to women. Go to the gym even though you're out of shape and it's difficult at first, to create a healthy body.
Yeah. You really like training your willpower muscle with ice baths and everything. When did this shift come to you? When did you realize the importance of willpower?
I think the main idea that landed is that willpower is a muscle. And I'm by nowhere am a person that is doing ice baths every day or always pushing myself or using a lot of willpower. Because I think that everybody has a certain amount of willpower. Some people have a lot, some people have a little, but you have limited willpower. If you're hanging by a cliff and I'm coming there, hey Erik, what are you up to? Like, even if you have a lot of willpower, if I come back a week later, you're not going to hang there because your willpower and your muscles are limited. So my approach is that I'm trying to use as little willpower to do things by doing things that I truly am passionate about, working out in ways that feel good to me. And then for short periods, like an ice bath, I do something that requires all of my willpower. Because I think when we're pushing that muscle to the point where it starts to fail, that is when our psyche says, okay, this muscle needs to be bigger. Let's get more strength. Just like it works the same way as making a muscle stronger at the gym.
I'm still kind of stuck in me hanging from a cliff, you coming there, not even thinking about getting me up, just saying, hey, what's up? And then coming back a week later and I'm gone. Thanks, buddy. You're a good friend. Yeah, either way.
If you're going to do one exercise at the gym, I think going for being able to do one pull-up makes so much sense, right? If there's anything you should be able to do.
If you've seen any movie, it's quite possible that at some point in your life you will be hanging from a cliff or a skyscraper.
You might, man. And damn it, I should have made pull-ups. Why?
Okay, so let's say you realize that willpower is something you want to develop and you want to start building this muscle.
Yeah.
What are some tricks you can use to make this process easier or more meaningful?
I think one thing that is important for me is to have a strong desire to make your future better.
Okay.
And one thing that I feel quite certain that my future will be better. My life is way more enjoyable today than 5 years ago. And I think a reason for that is that I'm constantly looking for, where am I bleeding a little bit? Where are those pain points that you're talking about? And I'm always scanning my life. Okay, this thing is causing me 1 pain point per week. Like this thing, here I can reduce 10 pain points.
I like pain points.
I like pain points as well, right? And just small things that constantly improve my habits.
Yeah.
My health, my relationships, that's huge. Like to be better at relationships all the time is making my life feel much more enjoyable. And knowing that, I'm more willing to experience discomfort because I really believe in my own future.
Okay, so the first step about wanting to improve willpower would be to wanting to have a better future.
Yeah, have a stronger reason for facing that emotion.
One thing that I like about thinking about the future is that I like the idea of doing favors for me.
That's so beautiful. That's self-love, right?
Yeah, it's like whatever I'm doing today that is very good for Erik tomorrow or Erik 10 years from now is like I'm doing someone else, quote unquote, a favor.
Yeah.
And I think it's so much easier to walk the extra mile for someone else than it is for ourselves. But I mean, to be fair, 10 years from now, the most important person in my life is going to be me.
Yeah.
And that's going to be 20 years from now and 30 years from now others. Sorry, Johanna, please don't listen to this.
And it's so nice to be able to say, thank you, Pastor Emil, for providing me with this favor. I'm so grateful compared to, damn it, Pastor Emil.
Yeah, you can really see it as either you're investing in yourself. I can see this as kind of an ATM machine. Either I'm cashing out money, maybe I'm partying, maybe I'm slacking, maybe I'm just watching Netflix.
Yeah.
There will be less money in my bank account in the future. Or I'm depositing money, which will give me more in the future, but it will also pay dividends because I can invest that in other things.
It pays interest for sure.
It comes with interest, yes.
So growth becomes exponential, and when you don't do uncomfortable thing, you pay interest on that all the time. And you end up like my grandparent, having a huge credit card debt health-wise.
Yeah, so you could either cash out a little joy now or get a lot of joy in the future. And likewise, you could choose to take a little pain now or quite a lot of pain, but avoid a lot of small pain points over a long period of time. Yeah. Okay, so mindset is one first thing. Just thinking about this. What does it mean to choose discomfort today?
Yes.
What does it mean to practice willpower? And think about that person 10 years from now, you 10 years from now, what it means for him or her. That's one thing. What else? What else can you do that is helping you to deal with discomfort?
One thing that I like to do is to look at things like exercise or doing a public speech, for example, that a big reason of why I'm doing it is not to practice the skill of public speaking or exercise, but to practice the willpower muscle. So, for example, let's say that I'm home, I'm in the sofa, I have very low energy, but I know I should go to the gym. If then my goal is to do a great workout, then that might seem impossible. But if my goal is to even go to the gym at all with the intention of practicing my willpower muscle, then at least I can do that. I can say, okay, I'll go to the gym and I'm there for 5 minutes. And the reason I'm doing it is for a mental practice, to practice going against my body's will of being still.
And to practice that habit.
Practice strengthening the habits, exactly. So I don't need to put the pressure on myself that I'm going to be there for an hour.
Yeah, I mean, results doesn't come from setting a goal. Results come from building a habit. That's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
A lot of people I'm setting this goal, I'm going to run this marathon or whatever. In comparison to I want to build a habit of running or going to the gym even when I'm tired. So basically you're lowering the bar for what it means to go there as well.
Yeah, and have the mindset that the primary practice is to strengthen my willpower, not the activity in itself. So let's say that I have a girlfriend now, but let's say that I were single and I was out in a bar. If I feel uncomfortable going up to a pretty girl and talk with her, the reason I would do that is primarily to strengthen my willpower muscle, not to get the girl.
Okay.
And that shift in mindset.
Yeah, that's a big shift. So you're primarily going there because I want to learn this skill. Secondary because you really want to talk to her. But either way, the result, even if it goes really badly with a girl, you have still practiced the willpower. So you come out with a win.
I get out with a more win, because if my intention is to be comfortable with discomfort, and this is a really terrible interaction, I get to experience more discomfort.
Yeah.
So I learn even more.
Yeah, that's good.
So how about you? Do you have any tips and tricks?
For me, one of the big things that has shifted is this thing, changing my thought pattern about something that I've usually been struggling with. So the first thing that comes to mind is fasting. I mean, the feeling of being hungry is something that for the first 30 years of my life was a signal to say, hey, Erik, you're going to be pissed now until you get food.
First time we were out on a travel together, I never seen someone so cranky until he got a banana.
Yeah, and that was a signal that I kind of had conditioned myself to, I'm not supposed to be hungry, I need to do something about this, which made me even more cranky than I would have been otherwise. Just changing that mindset to now understanding more about fasting and that it's actually really good to be hungry sometimes has been telling me whenever I'm feeling that signal that before was a signal to be cranky, now it's more of a signal to, hey, good, Erik, you're taking care of yourself. Thank you, Erik, 5 years back. Well, I'm getting some gratitude from Erik 2025. Feeling happy that I choose to be hungry instead of eating a Snickers.
Yeah.
And just thinking about that mindset shift, thinking about different interactions, like how am I practicing now? How am I choosing discomfort for future me has changed a lot.
Yeah.
And also what you were touching upon, going to the gym or not going to the gym. For me, that's been about the mindset of thinking all workouts are good workouts. So I'm kind of lowering the bar of actually going there. I haven't thought about that much in terms of willpower, more in terms of habits. Before, I used to think if I went out running and I didn't feel like throwing up afterwards, it wasn't a good run.
Yeah.
Which meant that it felt really hard to go out running because I knew that I was going to suffer.
And you feel bad about yourself. And in areas where you feel bad about yourself, you're not going to go.
I'm not sure if I felt bad about myself, but I always pushed myself really hard when I went out running before. And now it's more like, okay, Erik, go out and run. And as long as you're out the door, that's a win.
Yeah.
And I'm not grading the workouts if they're good or bad. All of them are good because I did it. And it's all about building that habit and choosing a little bit of discomfort. So before I was either I choose ton of discomfort or I choose no discomfort. And then it was really hard to choose the ton of discomfort and go out running really hard because if I was feeling a little bit low on energy or whatever, I really didn't want to do it. Mm-hmm. And now it's more like, okay, Erik, any portion of discomfort here is worth it. If that's going out for a 20 minutes intense run or a 20 meters slow run, it didn't really matter. It's still building the habit of going out, even though I'd rather stay in the couch.
And a strong association, a positive association to the event of running as well, I guess. And I think the first example with the fasting is so interesting because the emotion of discomfort from being hungry is exactly the same, but you have changed your perception of it. So now the experience of it is totally different.
Yeah, the physical experience is the same, but the mental, how I'm reading those signals are very different.
So same discomfort, but suffering is now lower.
Yeah, much lower. Yes, I think all in all, this entire idea of either you choose your discomfort today or you're suffering in various ways for the rest of your life involuntarily has been an important shift for me. Either you look at it as willpower, as a really important muscle to build, or just looking at it as a general thing of choosing. I don't think you need to choose that much discomfort. Yeah. If you're choosing a little bit of discomfort every day, that is by your choice. If that's by walking instead of taking the subway, or if that's by eating a little bit less candy or whatever, or if it's anything else, like reading instead of watching Netflix every now and then. All of these things stack up to a better future. And it can be small things. Small choosing discomfort can lead to a lot of less suffering in the future.
One tip that I would like to add as well that I'm super excited about right now, I've been doing it for a month, so I'm not going to take poison on it, is that I've chosen to have 1 day per week where I do all of my boring things and I also do my fasting. So on Mondays, I don't eat, which means that I get a 36-hour fast. And that day I drink a little bit of extra coffee and I do all of the boring things I need to do. So I have a mindset of, will I enjoy this activity? Then I pass. And I go, I look at my to-do list and I do the thing. Oh, I don't want to do that. All right, today we're practicing. The other days of the week, I'll have fun.
I'll check in with you a year from now if you're still doing it.
So far, it's working amazingly well.
4 out of 4.
I think I'm onto something. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I really like the idea of choosing your discomfort and
choosing when you have your discomfort is beautiful
choosing
as well.
When you have discomfort, choosing your discomfort at least to a large extent, and basically either you become the master of your discomfort and you go against it and you control it, or discomfort is going to control you and then you're not the master of anything. So all in all, you have to choose when to do it or just get it dealt whenever the universe tells you to suffer.
It's your choice. If someone liked this and they want to support us, what can they do?
Ooh, what a good question, my good sir.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, if you like this type of conversations and you want us to feel super engaged and do more, then please help us to climb up the different podcast top lists out there. And the best way of doing that is by going into a podcast app, whatever ones you're using, and click subscribe. Because these podcast top lists are not based on number of listeners, because then we would be screwed because we're a really small podcast. It's based on how big percentage of the people listening to it are actually subscribing to it. So by just having a lot of people subscribing, we get a chance of getting up in these top lists and reaching out to more people, feeling more engaged to do this. being even more passionate about conversations and hopefully bring you even more value. So thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing.